Hey everyone, welcome. Do you guys remember the time when we were looking at this 500% range of the Eagle drivetrains and called it revolutionary? Well, fast forward to 2023, and that's when SRAM reinvented the Eagle again. They called it the transmission, and it came in the form of a direct mounted derailleur, a new chain, and cassette. Fast forward to 2025, and here's Eagle redefined one more time. I have Eagle 90 and Eagle 70 with me. These are add-ons to the T-Type transmissions. Let me tell you what I mean by that. And by the way, I bought all these and this and these with my own money. Thank you, Paul at buycomponents.ca. So I don't have to read from any script and I can run any test I want with the SRAM components. And I'm gonna start with a little bit of history because I think is relevant. Eagle 12 Speed was launched as a purely mechanical drivetrain 1x12 cable actuated. Later on, if you remember, SRAM introduced AXS, which pretty much removed the cables, but otherwise the cassette, the chain, the rest of the drivetrain remained absolutely the same. Not too long after that, SRAM introduced this. Do you remember the universal derailleur hanger? Little we knew at the time that a great idea like this would actually pave the way to this, the full mount that pretty much got rid of the derailleur hanger altogether. There's many advantages of that kind of technology, but that transmission idea came with a brand new ecosystem. The whole system was designed with a new chain in mind, the new shift ramps on the cassette, no more derailleur hanger required, and no cables whatsoever. Why do I say that this is an add-on? Because in this case, we started with electronics everything, XX, XO, GX, and now with Eagle 90 and Eagle 70, what we have, it's a mechanical, look at this, a shifter and a cable. So in this video, I'm gonna give you a brief overview of the shifter and derailleurs launched by SRAM. They are the key components of the mechanically actuated transmissions. And I'm also going to talk about the compatibility between this and all the other T-Type components in case you want to build a T-Type transmission the way you want it. Eagle 70 is supposed to be mostly used for OEM, so new bikes, whereas the 90 is supposed to be the retail version. 50% more expensive though, and slightly lighter. That's one of the reasons why I got the 70 rear derailleur and the 90 shifter. Always recommend to get the better shifter as opposed to the derailleur. As you can see, these are all made in Taiwan. Inside the box, you get a QR code and no other documentation for the products. And here's the bar clamp for the 90 shifter. Just like in the past, it only comes with the inner cable, no housing provided with their shifters. You see T-Type here, Eagle 90. And what you're gonna notice right away is the size of this thing. I don't know why they had to build it so big. Here's the previous generation Eagle, which you could argue that does the same thing. And the other thing that you're gonna notice is the angle at which the cable comes out of the shifter. This comes right next to the handlebar, following that stealth idea that they introduced with their newest brakes. Also in the past, all shifters had this cover and you would have to remove that to remove your inner cable. In case of the 90, and I assume 70 is the same, if you look carefully here, you have a hole allowing you to push the inner cable out, but that also means that you have an opening in the shifter itself. What happens if you ride this in muddy or wet conditions? I don't know. Here on the back, there's no adjustments whatsoever, just 4 screws. Shifter paddles, at least the big one, seems to be made out of aluminum. You do have this additional texture here on it. The paddle for the heavier gears seems to be quite a bit bigger, and when it comes to feel, this feels very similar to a SLX 12 speed. in which it's just softer. It might be easier on your fingers. As opposed to that, you're gonna get a lot crisper shifts here. With the new shifters, you can only shift 2 gears at once, so these are easier gears, and 1 gear going towards the smaller cogs. Otherwise, the weight of the shifter is 133 grams. Add 10 more grams for the 70 shifter. This 90 shifter with the 70 derailleur is probably going to be a popular combo. Most product managers trying to save a few bucks. Actually, if you take a look at this Bronson 70, that implies that uses Eagle 70 as a drivetrain, but you can see in here that it uses an Eagle 90 shifter. So from a compatibility standpoint, Eagle 90 and 70 are fully interchangeable. They also have a one-click version of this shifter that is highly recommended for e-bikes. Unfortunately, these have a different pull ratio, so you cannot use these shifters with the old Eagle components. And you cannot use the old shifters with the multiple shifts on the new T-Type mechanical derailleurs. Derailleurs that differ in 3 ways. Here's my 70, and if I was to buy the 90, that would be 50% more expensive than this. Second difference is in the damper that's included in here. As usual, push that cage away before you undo it. This is the new what's called the drag spring damper. That's supposed to be cheaper to manufacture versus this one. This is the 90 and up. This is the S1000 electronic and the Eagle 70. So different damper construction, otherwise the cage length is the same. The jockey wheels sizes are the same. You have narrow, wide, top and bottom. Pulleys on the 70 are rolling on bushings. You're gonna have a tiny bit of movement here on this jockey wheels, both bottom and top. The more expensive cages and pulleys are rolling on bearings, and you have almost no movement here on the top pulley and maybe a tiny bit of the bottom. So that can be seen as an upgrade, but don't know if it would make a noticeable difference. Weight of the 70 derailleur is 412 grams, pretty much stock. If I am to put the other fancier cage, here's the 395/97. The 90 derailleur is supposed to be that 390 grams, so I bet my money that the difference is only in the cage and the damper weight. And the last difference between 90 and 70 is this inner link. You can see the 70 using that cheap piece of metal that's riveted together. On the 90 is a bit sturdier, and you can also replace it together with this outer link that is replaceable. You can see that skid plate that's replaceable. By the way, these two parts are interchangeable between 90 and 70. So I mentioned parts because these derailleurs are rebuildable. Not only the skid plate, but you have that outer link, inner link, and the cage with the damper assembly, or only the cage alone. I know you're gonna ask me if there's a difference between the two clutches here once installed on the derailleur. I cannot tell you how they behave in my hand. They feel pretty much the same, even though on the 70 you get the cheaper version of the damper. Direct mount attachment, so you have that little bushing, the knurled ring, and you do have a cable coming in here. When it comes to compatibility, obviously they say that these are not compatible with any of the old Eagle components. However, I have done some tests in which I run the Eagle transmission with an old cassette. I'm gonna link it up in the corner, and I'm curious what you guys think about the combination like that with these mechanical group sets. Otherwise, if you take a look at the SRAM website, you're gonna see an upgrade of these derailleurs to wireless, pretty much showing you that the only thing that is interchangeable between the mechanical derailleurs and the electronic ones is this, the derailleur cage, pulleys, and damper, which also means that the Eagle 90 assembly is probably the cheapest replacement you can get for the more expensive derailleurs. So if these are in essence the only two essential pieces added to their lineup, what about the other parts that you need to make this a drivetrain? And let's start with the chains. If you look online, you're gonna see that Eagle 70 is the only one that's adding a new chain. It's a cheaper version of the GX that is used by Eagle 90. Otherwise, I'm here to tell you that you can use any flat top chain that you can get your hands on. You heard that right, whether that's road or mountain biking. If you want the cheapest chain that would work with your drivetrain, go and get it. The flat top 12 or 13 speed on the road and gravel, and obviously all the T-type chains are exactly the same. I have a video, I'm gonna list it up in the corner, and actually my son is right now using this rival chain on his bike just to prove a point that these are exactly the same. Cranks, yes, you're gonna see Eagle 70 and Eagle 90 cranks, but aside from this difference of the 8 bolts as opposed to the 3 bolts of the old SRAM cranksets and the 55mm chain line that these introduced, there's no other difference between the previous S1000 cranksets that I looked at not too long ago and the GX cranksets that now become rebadged Eagle 90s. So the only thing that they might have changed is the chain rings, the steel chain rings that they come with. And by the way, if you have an older SRAM crankset with that X-Sync 2 of the Eagle chain rings, that is compatible with the new T-type drivetrains. In their documentation, they mentioned the old chain rings as being the only component that is cross-compatible between Eagle transmission and Eagle drivetrain. And that brings us to the cassettes, which again are not new. Eagle 90 is using the GX cassette that's XD driver based. The only thing they introduced is a new black color. As for the Eagle 70, that is using the HG FreeHub compatible 1270 cassette that we saw with the S1000 group set again. You guys have seen on my channel not too long ago when I looked at that specialized Epic 8 that came equipped with a cheaper wireless drivetrain. So key to mechanical T-type is the new shifter and mechanical derailleur, and definitely remember that you're gonna need this, a UDH compatible frame to even accept this direct or full mount derailleur installation. But wait, there's more. With the 2 mechanical group sets, SRAM also launched this. This is a dropper remote lever that is universal, so you can use it with whatever dropper you might have. I'm looking forward to checking this out in detail in a future video because this one is getting quite long. So what do you guys think about the mechanical T-type transmissions from SRAM? Would you buy the 70 or the 90? Would you mix the 70 and the 90 and some of your existing Eagle components? If you like cable actuated and you have a new DH frame, would you go Eagle 70 or 90, or you go Shimano 12 speed? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what other videos you would like to see about these new mechanical drivetrains from SRAM. And until next time, I hope to see you guys on the trails. Cheers, guys. Cheers. And by the way, I bought all these and this and these with my own money. Thank you, Paul. So stupid, man. Oh my God, come on.